Labs.
No, you're good.
Let's do it now. Ha-ha. Welcome to the Magna Media Labs blah, podcast,
Blabs
episode number
podcast.
52. 52 or 53?
52.
Episode number 52.
Yes.
On a fine Wednesday morning in New York City. My name is RJ Capelli. This is the Labs podcast. From my right to my left, Ryan, say hello.
Good morning.
Emily, go ahead.
Good morning.
And then over on the left-hand side,
Shannon.
She's come out of hiding
speaking to the microphone.
right up in there.
Gotta eat it. Got it.
We're live on YouTube,
We
which is
are.
really cool today. Again, if you are watching and you have comments, send them in. We will try to address them as the show goes on.
Yeah, or just chat right in and we'll see your little head and we'll talk
Yeah,
to it.
let's do it. We need to, one of these days we're going to promote one of these and we're just going to do no stories and we'll just do, Q&A.
Totally. Well, and also our
For the
fearless-
West Coasters.
Our fearless leader got excited when she saw the email that I sent around last night.
Oh,
last
great.
minute, telling people and was like, "This is awesome. What about guests and clients and
Yes,
absolutely.
and
I mean,
all of those things.
interviews. We've never really done this is our guest. I mean, we could still do a couple of stories and then an interview, and it would be great.
I've always wanted to have a morning
I
drive
know.
time show, so
It's basically becoming
if
that.
there's a way to have
It's gotten
that,
done in the morning.
I'm so in. I don't want to have sound like a soundboard with sound effects, but I always wanted to have that. So if we can do that, I'm 1,000%.
We could though.
in.
We could stick little hats on us and everything.
Yeah.
To
That would be
hang out.
Help yourself at the
Oh,
holidays.
lab coats.
The lab coats we still have.
What's going on?
Oh,
And
yeah.
and the caricatures. Can we get on that?
Yeah, we got to get on that.
We'll talk to the art
Francis.
director today,
Yeah.
Francis Josiah. He'll get on that.
Yep.
Let's go to news. Ryan, let's talk about news.
Let me find my cursor. Here it is. So first story. We always got to have some Facebook news, but this is also Netflix. So this is on Mashable. Netflix finally understands you don't want to share everything on Facebook. So the gist of this is, as I understand it, for the last many years, Netflix has been trying to get us all to connect our Facebook and share everything we watch and be all interactive in that way. And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but and it seems to be the general consensus that people don't really want to tell the whole world what they're watching. They're probably watching a lot of Dora Explorer with their kid or whatever it is, or it's maybe
No,
something
that's not
more
why.
embarrassing. I'm just keeping it
I have some
clean.
ideas.
But there are things that you don't want shared necessarily.
Yeah.
But
I want people to know
what-
I spent the entire weekend watching Netflix, and they
For
would
sure.
definitely be able to.
they don't necessarily want to tell everyone that.
Is that really the thing that you're the most worried about? I feel like the thing that you're worried about are I watched Blue is the Warmest Color. Oh
Sure.
no.
It's supposed to be very good.
And I did watch that. I do
I
not
have
want
been
people
meaning
to
to
know
watch
that
it.
I watched that because
Why
part
don't
of the
you look
reason
cultured.
I watched it was because I wanted to see what was all the sexual rage,
Sure.
about this movie and how graphic was it. And I'm not gonna lie, it was a pretty long sex scene.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was like,
it's like 9 minutes.
I was like, wow, there's a lot of sex going on right
Wow.
now in a super, super long movie.
Yeah.
It's 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Wow.
So yeah, I don't know
Interesting.
that I want to be broadcasting
Yeah.
that on Facebook where your
Just
grandma could
broadcast.
potentially
You
be.
guys
Exactly.
did it on Google Hangout.
Well, look,
so
I-
you know.
Right?
Here's the
Now
thing.
it's out there anyway.
I'm not embarrassed about those things just in general, but I'm saying I could understand people
Yeah.
Yeah.
whose moms and grandmas are
For
their
sure.
friends on Facebook not wanting them to know that they're watching I don't know.
Or if you're stealing your friend's account.
Yeah.
And now they know you've been
Ooh,
For
watching
sure.
it.
Good
And
call.
they're like, wait,
That's true.
RJ just
Yeah.
watched. Wait a minute, I didn't watch that. Yeah.
Son,
No,
why
for
are
sure.
why do you keep watching the Up in Smoke tour over and over again? No reason, Mom. No
Yeah.
reason.
But yeah, the assumption is if you connect it, then it's going to broadcast all your activity. We were just talking about
Yeah.
this before we started, like Spotify. Just listen to this. Just listen to that. I don't like any of that. I turn all of that off. They just read this, all the publisher stuff. But I think they've gotten wise, and basically this is saying it'll let you connect your Facebook profile and do private recommendations, which does make sense. Oh, I just watched this. I think Emily should see this. Whatever. Pretend she'd never heard of House of Cards and we hadn't been talking about it for 2 years. I'd be like, Emily, watch this, and then it would come up and she would see recommendations people had given her explicitly without necessarily publishing to the feed. So this does make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
And they do have some stats in here that I wasn't terribly surprised about, and now I'm going to try and find it. But basically, the current level of people connecting Facebook to Netflix, at least in the U.S., is less than half. Where can I not find this now? But the pickup outside of the U.S. is much larger. Where did I find that?
Oh, okay. So the people that are actually
Is it right
who are
there?
being
Is it right there?
lazy,
There it
currently
is.
less than a majority of Netflix
Yep.
subscribers in the U.S. link their accounts with Facebook, in Europe and Latin America, a higher percentage of users link with Facebook, he said.
Yeah, it says U.S. is an interesting case because we built up a large membership base before we added Facebook options. For a lot of U.S. members, it's a late addition for them. So that's part of it too, probably, is that the latecomers basically in other markets that didn't have it as early, it was part of their sign-up process probably. And I assume even they may even have this built into Netflix now, and I just signed up years ago, so I never saw it. But they probably have log in with your Facebook account to set up your account. So that makes sense. But yeah, like I would opt into this to be like, oh, Nigel recommends you watch Orange is the New Black or whatever, where we explicitly tell people what we want them to know, but not the world everything.
Do you know what things do you have in mind? What things you currently use Facebook Connect with? I think there's only one thing that I use Facebook Connect with, and I've tried to avoid it as much as possible, despite the easy one-click.
Oh my gosh, I do it whenever it's available because I'm lazy.
What kind of things are you guys using use Facebook Connect rather than just an email? Anything that you're willing to admit to?
Nothing.
That's the thing is you don't even remember unless you make a point of
I
going
mean,
in and looking at your connected
My only thing
apps.
is Tinder
Yay!
because you needed it to get onto
You're
Tinder.
on Tinder.
So again, I'm driving to my morning radio. I have
Judgment.
I have no qualms about admitting to the things that are actually happening that are truthful.
Not at all.
So that's the only thing that I have Facebook Connect for.
Yeah.
I haven't used it for literally anything else.
I'm sure that I have for websites and things like that.
Like Ticketmaster or anything. I don't know.
I don't think I have it connected to broadcast anything, but just as an easy login.
Hulu, okay. Hulu makes sense to me. Anything else? Pete's? You got
Nope.
anything? Nothing.
Down with the
No
Facebook.
Facebook Connect.
No Facebook.
None. Are you sure?
No
I bet
paper
if we
trail.
looked
Just
in your
no
account,
Facebook in general.
and
You have
looked
no
at-
Facebook.
you're not even on there?
She's out.
This
When-
is a
when did you-
topic
when
of
were you out?
discussion. Stop the presses. This is the rest of our
Oh
discussion.
yeah.
Tell us.
2 years ago, Shannon was out. We talked about this once. Give us the rundown.
Well, okay, so the problem
Social
is
media
You were
person.
dating Mark
Deactivate-
Zuckerberg. You had a
Exactly.
fight. Keep going.
I don't know. It's just I started working in social media and realized how invasive and creepy it can be.
Mhm.
And I don't know.
And
I
you
just
just
felt
pulled the
like
plug.
people I really wanted to connect with, I would talk to. So
What?
What?
Why would you do that?
That's
I don't
crazy.
know.
How would you talk to them?
Facebook is
Would
so I
you-
don't have
Would you
to
use
talk
your
to
vocal cords? What are you
Sometimes.
without you
I
didn't
would
use your thumbs?
pantomime.
I just literally I can hit my teeth. It wasn't comfortable. Sorry to interrupt.
He's too used to Facebooking. He can't.
Must no speak. Finger talk only.
That's interesting. So when you have worked on as your job,
I
you've
was
had
on Facebook
to
all day.
well because you have to have an account to use to connect as an admin or whatever. So did you just set up or did you just have a company account you were using, which is totally not what Facebook wants you to do, but I understand.
Correct.
Let's not
We
talk
have done it
about
too.
that.
Interesting. But LinkedIn you're on. I feel like
Yeah.
we've connected there. Twitter, you are. Shenanigans.
Twitter, yeah, not super active. I like to more passively use Twitter and read other.
You're a lurker.
articles, Yeah, I'm a lurker. Yeah.
A reader, a consumer.
We've talked about that. I think I've mentioned this on a
Yeah.
podcast before. The only way I actually started to get into Twitter was when I had the add-on of Flipboard.
Mhm.
Before Flipboard, I don't really think I cared that much about Twitter. And then the second I could dynamically see better visions of what the tweets were and photos and links to articles and whatever. Then I was like,
Right.
oh, Twitter's pretty cool. But I only checked Twitter through Flipboard, which is weird.
Yeah.
I never used
Still?
pretty much.
That's interesting.
I almost never use the native application that is Twitter.
Interesting.
But I like having tweets and I like Twitter and I
Yeah.
like all that.
we've talked about this. I've tried Flipboard. I've tried, what was the Google one? They have one too.
Oh, there was something called,
Um,
it was not Pages, it was
I think it's
That was
still
the-
around. I can't remember what it was called.
that was the Facebook
Yeah.
one.
Right, yeah, and then,
Papers.
Paper.
Oh, Paper.
But I've tried all of those, and they're all lovely and nice, but I haven't stuck with any single one of
You
them.
still like the app. You're the
I still
native.
just go straight back to the app.
That's nice. All right.
The unadulterated experience.
That's fair. Anything else to say about this article? Facebook.
Can you leave a
Netflix?
message for the people, like why you think they would like it, or it just says, "Hey, I recommend you watch this."
I'm not sure. I mean, this little screenshot just says, "Hey, Nigel recommends this." But
You
then
know
they
this is gonna
say-
get hacked too.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
like,
Well, like
People are
when
gonna
recently when those recommendations got all weird and jumbly, and it
Oh,
was
yeah.
the descriptions were combined from 3 different movies. It'll become something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, they say here in their little quote, "We're trying to emulate the people talk in their real lives." With linear TV, everyone watches big events at the same time. With on-demand, people watch at their pace and on their own screens. This is a more modern water cooler. If they're logged on, so the recommendation will appear at the top of subscribers' Netflix home screens and in their Facebook Messenger. Big thing. Controversy. If they are logged on or sent by email through Facebook, the friend can reply, ignore, or let their friend automatically know when they have watched the recommended show. Can we nag people if we're like, come on, man, it's been a year and you still haven't watched it? Because I have that conversation.
My favorite part
to watch Firefly.
My favorite part of our podcast are when we read the articles that we include. I love reading the articles out loud to the people.
We basically come read
so
things
funny.
with us. That's the podcast.
It should be called the Magnet Reading Rainbow Podcast, where we're gonna read you the stories of the day.
I was like, here's a story I haven't read. Let's read it now together. That's fine. Any other thoughts on this?
The more you
No, I really want to. Shannon sort of had like a really natural segue to probably the biggest story of Labor Day weekend, which almost shut down the internet.
Yep.
So can we go to news article number 2? Ryan,
Yes.
take it away.
So this is
I have
just
so
one.
many opinions about this.
Oh,
so
well,
many.
It hits on so many different issues. So this is a commentary piece on LinkedIn about it. It's not one of the breaking stories, but it hits some interesting points about privacy
What's the
and
story?
security.
Give us the story.
Here's the story here. This one's titled "Exposing Jennifer Lawrence: How Not to Be Next," and it goes into privacy. But the big hit story thing was, I think it was Sunday, right?
Oh, it was Sunday.
Basically, I think they think it was on 4chan or some other.
Oh, it was on 4chan.
Were you there trolling?
No.
But lots
the
and
second
lots.
this hit the internet, my cell phone.
He's the lead. Yeah.
My cell phone almost melted. I got
Really?
like 50 text messages from parents, my sister, my friends,
Really?
guys and girls. They're like, "Oh my God, did you hear about this? What the hell?" Like, this
big.
set off like more than like the tsunami in Asia.
Under
I
a
didn't get any of
rock.
that.
I
I just
heard
saw it come
nothing
across my
about
feed,
it.
and we're like, "Oh, whoa, that's."
Maybe it's because I was just bored and like I was on the internet and people were on my phone.
I was out living,
I was not out living.
and then posting pictures of.
I was having the saddest Labor Day weekend in the history of Labor Days. No. Keep
Long
going.
story short,
so-
Jennifer Lawrence was among many,
Like 50
like
or some odd
a whole lot
celebrities,
of, I think all female celebrities,
primarily,
who had
outside of Justin
their
Verlander.
private personal photos compromised and leaked to the internet,
Their
seemingly
private,
all
personal,
via
nude,
Yes,
sexual
nude
photos.
selfies mostly.
Not pictures of them like walking the dog.
No,
These are
and not
pictures of,
like, oh, we got a
boobs.
picture from that photo shoot they did 2 years ago. They didn't want it to come out. Like on their private personal phone for their boyfriend or whatever.
If you've
and then
texted this to your boyfriend, someone has hacked into that.
Yeah.
And now it has put it up on the internet. And there's like 100 articles a day written about this.
It just
Is it their fault?
they keep
So
going.
like I feel like there's 3 big issues about this whole story, and like one of them is just about, I would like open up to the room, is about like privacy in general. Like and I read this a lot, like, do you think Jennifer Lawrence or Kate Upton or any of the other people that were exposed have anything to do, are they at fault at all in this story?
No.
Why is that? Give your opinion on why that is.
These are their private photos. They can do what they want.
Right.
Completely fair.
You know.
Agreed.
Shouldn't
But
blame the victim.
If you sent something through a text message, isn't it pretty much understood that that's not really private?
Well, these were hacked from the iCloud.
Their iCloud. So it's like
Oh, so
photos
they
that are
weren't
automatically backing
necessarily
up to their iCloud account.
texted or
From
anything.
their
We don't know
Like
when they
photo
were sent
stream.
or who to, just that
Right.
they were on their
Yeah.
accounts. Yeah.
Because like by default, you connect iCloud with your phone, everything's getting backed up unless you tell it not to.
Mhm.
Like I turned that off because I don't have enough room in my iCloud account, but then I have all my photos backing up to Dropbox, so it'd be the same thing.
Okay,
Right.
that's fair.
But yeah, and I mean, to hit on that point, I'm sure, Ricky Gervais was sort of the big one that got a lot of flack because he tweeted something to the effect of, trying to be funny, of course, but not defending him, but basically like, women celebrities, if you don't want your photos out there, don't put them on your computers. And of course, then got all kinds of flack, deleted it, has since apologized, said he was joking, but it was the whole like blaming the victim. Is this sexual assault? It's invasion of privacy. It's like so many issues. And just like the security, like why can't we have a better, more secure? That's what this article gets into. Is like there are better ways to be secure than just passwords.
Yeah. Just one password.
Agree 1,000,000% on all of those things. I think we can all agree that the people that are involved in like hacking all of these people's accounts to get all of their private information are like total dickheads.
Oh, yeah.
Like, don't be a dickhead. Don't try to like, don't like use your intelligence and computer programming skills for something more than like hacking Jennifer Lawrence and the Kate Upton boob photos. Like, just use your brain for something better than that. This is such a waste.
Right.
Like, just stop.
Well, then I saw so many articles about like, should you or should you not? There was even like a flow chart on Mashable where it was basically like, should you look at the pictures?
Yeah.
Like, and it was basically like,
Well,
came to the conclusion, of course, no, you shouldn't. You're an asshole if you do.
I wanted to get there third. Let's go to the second thing first, which is the thing that Emily, because I remember to bring that up though, because I think that's an important part of this whole thing.
Totally.
At least in my own experience of all of this, like.
And you have a lot of experience with this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more than willing to talk about it. I have no qualms about talking about what happened this weekend with all of this chaos.
No, it's huge.
The second thing is, so I'm a huge fan of the NFL. The NFL consistently tells all of their athletes and coaches and general managers and PR people and everyone from, the towel boy on up that they're like held to a higher standard. And everything we know about like, like rules around parity law and everything else is like, celebrities are also public figures, and they also are held to like a little bit of a higher standard. And like, you have to like, it's not that I don't feel bad for Jennifer Lawrence and Kate Upton and all these people who are like naked, and like honestly, like Justin Verlander too is like a Cy Young award-winning, he's the boyfriend of Kate Upton, and like his butt is like all over the internet now, and like he's probably like being made fun of constantly in the locker room right now. He's probably super duper embarrassed.
Yeah.
You need to like, my whole thing is like at the same, I'm not saying that this is like the right way to be, but like if you don't want naked pictures of yourself to be out there, you should probably be smarter about maybe not taking naked pictures of yourself and then uploading them just to like the cloud.
Well, but that's part of the thing is whether they're actively uploading them or it's just one of those things where you set up your account and if you're not savvy enough, it's just happening passively.
So to me, that's actually not an excuse because like we've all seen like the South Park episode where like you're not reading the Apple agreement as to like what you're signing off on your terms and conditions for. Like
we all just click.
Nobody actually does that, but like it's your responsibility. Like you are given the opportunity to opt in or opt out of things, and like. I don't have any of my stuff like auto sync to any cloud anywhere just because all that stuff is then going through like a Time Warner internet cable pipe or a Comcast cable internet pipe or any of those other things, Roadrunner, etc. Like, and someone else is getting like somebody at the phone company or whatever had access to all these photos that were getting uploaded through iCloud first because the police and FBI
no, it's gone through many
can
channels
hack into that anyway.
Yeah.
So like. You do have to understand, as much as a dick of like the person is that went in and hacked all of these things, like you just need to be like just a little bit more cautious. Don't take like if you're gonna take like 50 naked pictures of yourself and like text them to your boyfriend or girlfriend, like just recognize that like there is the threat that something like this could happen if you are a super famous person.
I hear you, but so does that basically mean that by being a celebrity, you've given away your right to privacy, basically?
No, I'm not. And you know what? I am actually not saying that because that's too much of a black and white statement.
Yeah, of course.
I'm just saying like you need to be a little bit more understanding of the fact that like this is a risk, and I'm willing to take that risk. It's sort of like. Oh, I'm at 2 beers right now. If I have like 3 or 4 more, I know I'm like at much more of a risk to like be super drunk and fall down. Am I willing to take that risk or not? And like,
do you have a reasonable like assumption of privacy in this case? And I don't think that you do.
I don't know you do.
Well, and that's the thing is none of us have read the EULA to even know what they actually claim. Do they say, hey, look, you can reasonably assume that your stuff is private and secure. I mean, there is the assumption, at least on the outside, if you have a password, it's all secure. There's encryption. I mean, every service pitches their the privacy piece, the secure feature is a large part of their value proposition and pitch. Like so there is that assumption.
Yeah, I feel like prior to something big like this, you may think that. You did
now no one's going to trust
it. Are any of them taking legal action against
all of them are. And all of them.
And they've all basically acknowledged that they're real or made snarky comments. We haven't talked about
all of them are completely within their rights to take legal action against these people. All these people should be arrested. The person that leaked those photos like 5 years ago of some other celebrities, I can't remember, got like 10 years in jail. Like, this is like really serious. You should not be doing this. It's like serious invasions of privacy, but at the same time, like, just you need to be smarter in the modern age, like understanding that anything you do in a digital landscape, especially photography, if you upload it somewhere at some point, could get out. It's like this podcast. Like if I ever ran for president in like 10 years, like my opinions could be like skewed and then twisted into some other way based on something that I said on my Facebook page when I was. There are drunk pictures of me on Facebook from college. I can tell you definitively, if you look at my face, I am drunk. I have been drunk before. Like if I ever ran for president, some news outlet could be like, he's an alcoholic. Look at this picture. Okay, like I have to understand that there's like a risk and a reality of those kind of things being involved. Like
but you actively posted those pictures or got tagged in them and let them happen, as opposed to like this was my private device that I assumed was secure and safe.
But they actively uploaded these things to a shared
But it's not a shared. It's a private storage.
But it's a cloud-based. But that's the difference.
The assumption is it's
nobody knows what the cloud is anyway.
I know. I think that's the big actual thing.
I think that's
servers. Servers somewhere where you can access.
I think you would think your stuff's private, maybe until like literally this.
Yeah, that is the assumption.
I have never thought that.
The general public would assume this is secure.
But I think like
anything
you're very savvy. You're in the
all this
stuff. I feel like for even if you are a celebrity and maybe you're not super savvy, whatever, you're just doing your thing, sending your photos.
Completely fair point.
You have a password to this thing, so you think like I access them only, and maybe that's a naive thought.
You know what's funny?
People do think it.
Here's my whole thing, like
that is sort of the exchange that they've set up.
Jennifer Lawrence,
because it's private.
Jennifer Lawrence comes out looking really bad in these things because she's naked all over the place.
Then I've seen some articles where basically they're like, just own it. There's a whole Marilyn Monroe discussion. Like, does this really change
Kim Kardashian,
about
all these people got really famous
from
sex tapes. Paris Hilton, all these people got like really famous from sex tapes, and it's not a big deal, and everyone's kind of like forgotten about it. Like Kim Kardashian is a billionaire.
No, she exists
and
because of
she has her sex tape was what made her famous.
Right.
Like we have somehow become accepting of these kind of things in our society today. I just feel like the person that, to me, was like more cavalier about all this is Kate Upton, because it looks like a lot of the things were just like private text messages that she sent like to her boyfriend and back. But like, if you're texting someone like nude pictures of yourself, this dude is a professional baseball player in a locker room with 32 other guys.
Yeah.
Like, you have no idea if his other teammates are looking at these pictures. They're like, you have to understand that there's some risk somewhere that some other eyeballs just outside of your boyfriend or your husband or your girlfriend or whatever wife is going to end up seeing these pictures at some point. The light of day is a kind of a like, and maybe it is just because I am more savvy and I think about these things through, I just feel like as we all talk about cookies and we all talk about like the sensitivity of marketing, anything that I call up through the internet, I am always worried is going to like come back.
There is a trail.
At some
Everything
point.
has a trail.
There is a trail at some point. And there is an extensive historical trail since the first T1 line that I had up in Syracuse in Flint, my freshman year of college. Like, everything that I've done on the internet for the past 15 years probably gives you a pretty good perspective of who I am as a person. And like
and it's like, best if we never see that trail.
That was like the bigger picture crazy thing to me about all of this is like, did they really not ever think that like in the worst case scenario these pictures could get out?
Okay, so I think that's one issue there. So there is the like personal. I mean, not to push it around, but I mean, because we could go back and forth, and I think that's the multi-layered issues to this. I think number one is the personal responsibility and just being careful about what you do. There's that.
Please be careful.
Without putting blame on. They are victims in this case, but without putting blame
on
them. There's that. Then there's a whole bunch of other issues, but I think the one that, from a technology standpoint, that's probably worth exploring is just like a better way of being secure, because people are going to keep doing it. It's still they are going to, we all want something that's storage. The more we move online, the more we do go to that technology. Like, we're not going to stop storing things, and just go back to like a private flash drive, which isn't even secure either. There was a whole thing in the last few weeks about USB being so insecure. So, I mean, nothing is completely secure unless you just don't take the picture, which you're saying. Nothing. But what this article hits is like, the two-step authentication, and I can't even say it, authentication, passwords themselves, like what, but there's got to be a better way to deal with it. And then just this morning, right after I sent this and we were talking about this, there's the other issue is why not just bake in at the simplest, as you're taking pictures on your phone or whatever, like private. Click on this photo. It should, mark this one to not be backed up. End. You know what I mean? Which doesn't guarantee, if someone stole your phone or whatever, but at least you'd know it wasn't stored off of your device at that point. I mean, that would be an easy thing to implement.
Sure.
So any other thoughts?
I mean, my thing is like the safest place to store things to me is always going to be a physical location rather than like a digital location.
Polaroid.
And as we continue to move to a place where like, I want to be able to get access to all my files everywhere that I am through the internet. You have to understand that there's like, that's not a realistic thing to have completely preventable against hackers to get into your personal information. There's a reason that like, safety deposit boxes have existed for a really long time. Bank accounts in like the Bahamas and other like, in Switzerland have existed for a really long time. Like those kind of physical storage devices are things that I think are like, in this case, all these people would have just been better off buying a big hard drive and uploading all those things to a personal hard drive and just having them backed up there, rather than like
I can get a whole hard drive for that.
I still think they would have been better off like not taking the pictures in the first place, but
but
at the same time, like I think there's an unrealistic expectation that like we're going to get to a place where like unless we get to a place where there's like a digital fingerprint that's literally only yours, retina scans on like to get into your cloud.
Right.
There's a microchip in your brain.
We'll get there in some way.
Unless those things have happened, like there's always going to be 3, 4, 5 levels of passwords with capitalizations and numbers and letters and all sorts of.
Well, this talks about like limited time, constantly changing ones.
So,
I think it's like the PM key.
And some people, and honestly, like weird things. Like I can never remember my password for my student loan payments. So every single month that I have to do a payment, I just change my password.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of like a good strategy.
Well, and most of us all, at least if you're like me, not to tell the world, but like you save your password somewhere, and then just getting into the access those passwords, done. You're done.
Yes.
Like
correct. Many people,
whether it's emailing them to yourself,
and many people use the same password across a million different websites, like I do. I have like 3 sets of passwords that I just use across everything.
Start cracking it.
But I just think, to answer your earlier point about like technology, I personally think like the safest place to be is still in like flash drive, terabyte, like just back things up on a hard physical device for now is much safer to me, much less impregnable than the cloud.
But so for that argument, I hear what you're saying, but then this is just talking about personal stuff. But you get to like enterprise level, like it's just not feasible. Like the way technology is going, we're going to keep going cloud connected, and at that level, it's like, I mean, national security. I mean, this comes all the way back to Snowden and WikiLeaks and all kinds of crazy stuff. And like, I think we can't go backwards. We're not going to manage to like roll it back to where we keep everything on one hard drive that's locked in a safe. You're always going to have a backup like that. Yeah. But I think it's just a fact. Your stuff is on a server somewhere. Like that's the way we're going. So, which comes off of the like personal responsibility and just technology. There's got to be a better way, kind of thing. Whether it is thumbprints or retinas or thinking the thought and it works or whatever it is. It's crazy.
What are you thinking?
I'm going to think this thought and then get access to all my Jennifer Lawrence nude photos.
I mean, you could do a whole podcast on this topic.
Can we go back to the last thing, which is whether or not it was okay to look at the photos?
Oh, right. Well, I think it's given it's not really okay.
How many people have looked at the photos here in this room?
Who's going to admit?
I have.
All right, I did a quick glance.
Yeah, Ryan, you haven't looked at it.
I didn't even know.
But I didn't go digging. I didn't go like
Zimbabwe all weekend.
And in many cases, it was like blurred stuff where it's like they're referenced in the article.
Okay.
Or whatever, but
so you blur or did you not?
It's terrible though.
I saw Jennifer Lawrence photos.
See, I mean, that's the thing. It was almost unavoidable, right?
So,
I'm just excusing myself here, but
is it wrong?
It's terrible.
Is it wrong to have then gone and looked at those photos once they're out there and they're on the internet? How do you feel?
Yes, it's not right.
If you go to seek it out,
yeah.
I disagree completely.
Because you feel like now they're out there, like
it's one thing if they did it on purpose, but they didn't, so it's not.
Here's the thing. I think that like there's a point where things go from personal information seek out to national news story where
This
it's
isn't a national
So if they
news
publish
story.
it in an article
It's not
about
a
it,
national
it's
news
now
story.
Like a CNN news story.
It's
Like,
not a
just
national
like
news story.
now
It's
breaking
you
news.
know where this story broke was on BusinessInsider.com.
Well, no, it's a valid
like, this is
story,
100%
but like
a
I thought about
national
that the other
story.
day. Like if they now reprint
This has been
those
on every news outlet all over
to
the
reference
place, the last
them, does that
72
make it
hours.
okay?
I don't
You
think
know.
you're wrong to having gone looked at the photos for two
Yeah.
reasons. One, there was a lot of questions if you read into the articles about whether or not these were real. That was like
Yeah.
step one.
Sure.
Well, that's
So-
the thing. When they were first posted, I was like,
These are not going to be real. This is bullshit. Was
Yeah,
my
well, that's the
first
thing.
immediate
Yeah,
thought.
yeah, yeah.
I clicked the link, looked through hers, and I was like, oh, these are real.
And then I
did
was like,
look at
oh, Nelly,
Because
when I
from
saw
there, I
them.
was like, I don't want to like keep
Well,
looking
so
at
Right.
these. I
aren't
don't
these
want to like
websites
support it.
that are putting them up just as guilty?
Well, that is another big
Yeah.
art. And
Sure.
that is another big issue.
It's fraught with
Most
issues.
high quality news, internet articles, search places are not linking to the actual like
Yeah.
depths of the internet, 4chan and like DB and these other
Here's the message
horrible-
board thread right here. Check it out.
And
Yeah, I know.
you want to know why? Because those message boards, which is like the most terrifying thing, are like horrendously gross and like so much worse than X-rated. You could not even.
Isn't 4chan like the worst? place
I
ever?
had never even heard of 4chan until
I've
this
only
happened.
heard of it. I don't even
I had
really
never even
understand
heard of it.
It's
I
like
clicked-
it's like
I clicked-
Reddit, but really
I clicked on
Yeah.
it. It's-
bad and
it will make your it
dark
will make you
net.
feel like your eyes are going to bleed. You're like, oh my god, what is this
Yeah.
horribleness? But there is a place on the internet for those kind of things. All I could think about was, I know we've talked about House of Cards season 2.
Yeah.
No spoilers here, but one of the guys. Did you watch House of Cards season 2 yet?
Yeah.
So
If not, we'll recommend it to you
The
via
guy-
Netflix.
when the guy
Oh, wait,
talks
you're not on
about like
Facebook.
there's a dirty dark place on the internet that's even dirtier than like 4chan or whatever, and
The
I'm like,
Darknet.
I can't even
That's a
imagine
whole
like what the
other-
darknet is like.
That's
Oh,
a
yeah.
whole other thing.
There was like a
Wait,
stat on there.
what
that,
was
like,
that?
No, there's like a basically, as I understand it,
remember
it's a real
seeing
thing.
it.
There's like sort of a mirror internet
Yeah.
that's just like it's not just
It's where you can go
accessible
like buy
via
bomb
www.
equipment and like
It's like a separate, you
it's
gotta
where like
know.
ISIS.
It's the hacker net.
Chat rooms, I think.
Yeah, it's like the hacker net that's not
Um,
accessible.
But I don't know. So do
To
you
our
guys look
moms.
down on me because I don't think it's wrong to have looked at the pictures? It's okay if you
I just
do.
think it's all
I just think it's interesting because I had kickball yesterday, as I mentioned before the show. Shout out to the Bronx Zoo Cobras, back-to-back champions.
Cobras.
And I asked a bunch of the people on the Bronx Zoo Cobras, Waka Kickball, whether or not they had looked at the photos. And everyone was like, the second I heard about the photos, went on the internet for 5 seconds, looked at the photos, thought they were real, went, oh my God, and then clicked out of that.
Then they felt
They're
dirty
like,
and walked.
They're like, I don't want people to know that my internet browser
Yeah,
is
yeah,
on
yeah,
this,
yeah.
which was my exact experience. This cannot be real. Oh my God, this is real. Oh my God, there's
Abort.
Oh my God, there's
Run
Justin
away.
Verlander's butt and butt and butt. This is bad. I'm getting out of it.
I think
getting
that's
out of
like
this.
the normal, just being like, because you hear stuff like this all the time.
Yes.
Often like, oh, that's a fake. Blah, blah,
But
blah.
I definitely
Right.
went and like seeked it out. I
mean,
don't know that I'm gonna go seek it out
I'm not
again.
surprised. Like, I don't think anyone's proud of it, but it is like it's the watching a train wreck thing where
Uh-huh.
we're like wired to go, oh well, I have to see if it's real or whatever. Oh,
Yes.
crap, no, I feel bad. Get out.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I get that. It doesn't make it
Yeah.
right, and none of
And
us
then I
are
read
proud
those
of
arguments
it.
of like, if you continue to look at them, it's kind of like you're violating the privacy
Right.
again and again and again. And
Yes.
I kind of agree with that. Like, I wouldn't go seek these out
Yes.
again and again and again because it's like they're not supposed to be there.
Right.
But does it make me an amoral person that I don't feel bad at all about having looked up those pictures? I
don't
just
think it
felt like
makes
I
it
wanted to look.
amoral.
I wanted to look them up.
hmm
100%. I was like, I need to see if these are real.
Understood.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No. I mean, it's the whole thing.
Because I think like that was the most interesting thing about a lot of these posts. Like I saw something on like Huffington Post, maybe some other stuff where they're like, "You're the worst person ever if you looked up these pictures.
Oh my gosh.
They're supposed to be completely private." Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, I get all of that. This has now crossed over from a private like robbery issue
Mhm.
to like a national news story where like it is leading a lot of like what is coming up in like technology blogs, like
Mhm.
everything about like Apple is like pushing back on this, whether or not this was
Well,
even like an iCloud breach.
And the,
Yeah.
and the
They're like, this
fascinating
isn't an
thing is
iCloud
they're-
security breach.
They're right on
That's
the
right
on
there.
the eve of a big
Compromise,
launch.
breach, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
think
They're
it's
basically
that-
just. I think what they said this morning, at least the Today Show coverage of it was, is they're like, look, iCloud secure. These were just individual specific accounts that were hacked, which
Like,
is then like,
still
why is that
have.
better? I don't know. And yet they're right about to do a big
Mhm.
product launch and everything. Their stock hasn't changed at all.
Nope.
Like it's not
Really?
really
Nope.
hurting them at all. Everyone's like, oh well, whatever. Be smart.
Well,
You know.
'cause I guess if you're just an anonymous person on the street,
Right.
who cares?
We're still
For
like,
these
that
people,
sucks,
it could
but
be
tell me about the new
detrimental to their
iPhone.
career or whatever. Nobody's gonna like go look you
Right.
up. They're gonna find out your financial information if they want something from you.
The fascinating thing to me is that that's not what people were like trying to source more than anything from these people. Like, if you're gonna hack into something, like, I'd much rather have access to like Jennifer Lawrence's bank account than like
And her nude photos.
than like 5 pictures of Jennifer Lawrence's like boobs. Like, her boobs are gonna look like her boobs in every one of those pictures. Like, that's where I don't get like the mindset of these hackers. Like,
well, they probably like, not that
it's just weird. It's just so weird.
And why is
it's a different
such
motivation,
a big
I
deal
think.
Anyway, either?
I don't think
mean,
that
She could have, yeah, like, in 2 years from now, Jennifer Lawrence could have been convinced by like some Martin Scorsese or something to like appear in some like romance period piece
Kirsten
where she's
Dunst
naked.
has been nude in movies like
Great.
many of them
Ta-da.
have, but it's still like, does it now make it so now because you've been on camera that way, does that mean we should just be able to see you in the shower all the time? I mean, no. So I mean,
excellent point. The only thing,
I realize it makes it sort of less of a big deal. Like, oh yeah, we've seen.
The only last thing I will mention, which I don't really get, and maybe it's because I'm not a celebrity and not attractive. Like, I don't get the, inspiration, like, because this wasn't like a Jennifer Lawrence and Kate Upton, who's like been on the cover of Sports Illustrated, like just the two of them. Yeah. This was like 50 actors and actresses that were like exposed. Like, what is the obsession? And this is a much larger topic to not like, but I don't get the obsession with all these actresses, especially to like take nude selfies of themselves and like send them to like significant others. I've never dated anyone that was like that freaky that wanted to do that. Or like, I don't get it.
I'm sure
NBA players have done this too. Brett Favre has done this. Like, I don't get it. I don't get the mindset.
I don't think it's as uncommon.
Right. I don't think it's like only celebrities are doing that. I think it's probably a large number of the amount of the population. I mean, the first thing with any technology, right, is porn grabs it or whatever. I'm not even saying this is porn doing it, but it's like it's in our human nature. Like, there have been people, I'm sure, now we're just using our phone because it's right in our hand, but I'm sure through all of time since we've had photography, people have taken pictures at home or whatever. Not everyone, but I don't think it's uncommon. And it's just, they're a sampling of the population that all happen to be celebrities. And all, again, assumed that it was for them only and whatever.
Maybe it's because I'm square. I just don't get it.
You've been missing out. I'm just kidding.
I just don't really get it. Like, I don't, that was the weirdest part to me of all of this is like.
That it was so prevalently like available.
Like, wow, all of them had that? Like, they went looking and they all.
Is every celebrity doing this? Is like Betty White doing this?
Or did they like grab
like,
everybody's and the other people just had boring photos and these are the ones that happen to have?
We don't know how many they hacked into.
Yes.
Maybe this is like 5% of what they actually got.
All that stuff was like very surprising to me because it felt like almost every celebrity that like is on either television or film in the last few years was like hit by this.
Yeah.
So like basically every female celebrity has some like naked pictures floating around somewhere. Like, huh? Like, is there no like literally? I know I was making a joke about like Betty White, but like, does Betty White have like nude pictures uploaded to like iCloud that she's like sending around? Like, I hope not. But like.
And yet, doesn't she have the right?
She does have the right, but I just don't.
What she does behind closed doors. That's the point, though. It's all the assumption is it's behind closed doors.
Right. I don't have like the
But now they're open.
Psychiatric or philosophical background to like understand the mindset or the psyche of all of these people that are doing this.
Yeah.
Because it's never been like it's never been something that I've done.
Right.
And
like I don't really get
the whole like selfie culture. It's like nudes or not. It's just very interesting.
Selfies well, actually they were talking about this morning too. That like the queen mom is like complaining about selfies because she's like. There's no eye contact anymore. They were showing her, like, apparently some statement where she's like, she's used to when she sees people, her subjects on the street, and says hello, she'd look them in the eye, and it just showed picture after picture where it's just people doing this. She sees the back of their head and a camera because they just want to capture themselves selfie with her across the behind the gate. So funny. It's so crazy. Like, the selfies, like,
you couldn't have,
over.
What's that famous photo in, like, Forrest Gump, where Forrest Gump's, like, shaking hands with, like, maybe, like, one of the Nixon or one of the presidents or something? And, like, that would not exist in that movie because it would be, like, Forrest, like, holding up like a Polaroid, like, let's do this, rather than, like, shaking hands and, like, actually meeting.
Yeah.
Well, and they've said that, like, now selfies they're the autograph now. People don't ask celebrities for autographs anymore. They want selfies.
It's so crazy.
I'm wondering if it's because these celebrities, maybe they're often in, like, long-distance relationships, and that's why it's, like, a higher percentage.
That's a fair point.
That is a fair point.
I don't know. Maybe they're just sort of, like, into themselves. As a celebrity, you're living in a bubble anyway. It just seems like
nothing can touch me. I'm living in a bubble. I think that's. That's part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I found this story to be so interesting. I found like my Facebook feed to be so interesting. Like
It's just the articles
many
keep
people
coming.
that I was friends with being like, "Oh my God, I went away for 48 hours and the internet exploded.
Right.
What the hell happened?" Like, and then it was interesting to like get a cross section of people that were like slightly younger than I am at kickball yesterday.
Yeah.
And like resoundingly, like 80% of the people were like, "Yeah, of course I looked at the pictures."
Do you think maybe
The second the pictures were up line, I looked it up.
Huh?
Do you think maybe like Apple's competitor had someone hack it? I mean, like you said, you know.
Wow.
That's the beginning of a movie.
Jeez.
That's the beginning. That's the
Interesting to find out.
Just be on record, Magnet
No.
Media did not
No,
support this claim.
That's a very unsubstantiated claim.
Very.
Just a
Most
personal
impressive of
speculation.
all of this
Yeah.
is that Shannon didn't know about it till this
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that
She's
I've
not on
learned about
Facebook, so
Shannon
she doesn't
not
know
knowing
anything.
about things. Shannon is very. Here's the thing about Shannon. Shannon is extremely well versed in very weird things
Yeah.
that we talk about because we sit right next to each other at work.
Yeah.
And then the things that she doesn't know about, I'm like amazed. By.
Yeah.
They
What?
used to
You
call
were
me
out of town, though.
Shankopedia at my former workplace because they always came up with these weird Wikipedia type things to say, and they would call me Shankopedia.
I was like, this is hand soap. She's like, what? Amazing.
Okay,
Never
wait.
heard of that.
I'm just kidding.
I wash my hands a lot, I'll have you know.
Oh,
I was
man.
just kidding.
And then, of course, the other debate is like all the other things that were going. I mean, you can always do this argument, but all the other things in the world that were going on, and now this is what we're talking about. Instead of like
Well,
the same day or whatever Saturday, like a plane was flying over DC unidentified and like went down into the
you know what
water.
I will say?
Like we don't
That I
know.
didn't
I haven't even hardly heard that story.
Holy
You know.
cow.
You know what? Like I will say that as much as this
Crazy.
did hit like the internet super fast and it's been
Uh-huh.
everywhere, I would disagree with that a little bit. I still do think there's like some other stories that have like propped up.
Of
Like,
course.
Like I just saw like the U.S. just like officially verified the fact that like the ISIS beheading was like a real video. Like,
Yeah,
an
and there's
official-
another one,
an
right?
official
There's
statement.
two now, yeah.
like official statement.
Ugh.
Those are real. Like.
And I think we just did another. We're doing more airstrikes, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Awesome.
Awesome. Cool. Let's go to
But
the.
back to the.
Can we go to sad news? Back to sad news.
Yeah. So this
Let's go to the
this
last-
next
yeah.
story seems just not all that important now, but it's interesting. Just that Google, I feel like they've rebranded it a few times, but they're rebranding, and I think that's really the only big change. I don't think there's a real functionality change. But Google Apps for Business is now Google for Work.
Wait, can we pause for a sec?
Pause.
Can you screen grab this on the video?
Yeah, I'm always screen sharing the articles as we discuss, man. Come on.
Can we just go around the room and just see if everyone knows what all of those Google
Oh.
icons stand for?
okay.
Because
Sure.
from
Well,
left
there's
to
one
right.
I'm not sure about.
Emily, do you want to go left to right?
So,
left,
Gmail.
and you can do that with your little arrow thing on the Google Hangs too. So this is Gmail,
We got Google Drive,
Google Drive. I knew
Google Maps.
Google Maps, right?
I don't know.
So that's
Search.
Google
Search.
Google Search.
in general.
Okay. I
Does
don't
anyone
this
know what
next
I
that
think
one.
this is Google Gears.
Shannon, do you know what that is?
Oddly enough, I do not.
Oh,
I think that's what it is.
what is Google Gears? I've
Well,
never seen that icon.
I
before.
think. I'm not sure if they're still using that. It must be, though. Google Gears, as I understand, was just sort of, I think it's I'm going to botch
Their
this, but I think it's
mechanic
basically
business?
like an API. No, for
Oh,
like
so
different,
if you're gonna go design
there's,
stuff.
you can like build stuff to work with Google's stuff.
And then the last two
Like
I
a Chrome
knew.
extension that does stuff.
The last two I knew were obviously Chrome and
Android.
Android
Yeah.
robot.
Yep.
But I'd never seen that thing, and I was
Oh,
like,
I
I
know.
hope that's something like Google.
I think it
is.
Shopping.
Now I want to
Oh,
know.
Google Gears.
That's cool.
Google Gears.
Google erector sets. That's what it looks like.
Yeah. Go to
It's like the
images.
developer.
Maybe go
yeah.
to images and see if it shows up. Scroll up. Images.
Sorry, there's a little bit of a delay because of all the internets that's happening. I think that is it, although that looks a little different.
No. You know you can do a Google image
Maybe
search
that's
for an
the
image.
work
For that image, I
symbol,
know,
Google
I know.
Work. It's like
I
think
just
that's
never
probably
seen
it,
that thing
though.
before. I was like, that's a really weird. We use all Google stuff here. I just
do.
never had seen that icon before.
Yeah. So I mean, there's not too much to dwell on with this, but I think basically it's just a rebrand. They're trying to obviously, stay competitive with all the other enterprise applications and things.
Sure.
And yeah, we use it. A lot of companies do, but it seems to be, I would assume they're, without looking at any stats, but they probably have more adoption in like startup, media technology companies, whereas older schools, so to speak, larger Fortune 500 companies that move slower because of their size and scales are probably still largely Microsoft all the way, and like probably several versions back in some cases, because it just takes them a year to upgrade to the last version, and the last version it's just, whereas we're like, come on, Google Apps. Anyway, but interesting. And I mean, obviously, with the whole, we didn't even talk about Dropbox, like totally just changed their pricing model like a week ago. Like this is all related, I guess. This whole cloud, the price of storage just keeps dropping. Dropbox was $9.99 a month for 100 gigs, and now it's $9.99 for a terabyte.
Wow.
Just everyone now has a terabyte if you have that, and they've added sharing options, and like this link will expire, so so it's. We're going to the cloud, man, is my point.
Okay.
Yep. Jump on board.
That's fair.
Last piece,
Here's the
which
thing.
is...
We can totally go to the cloud. I'm not going to ever take a nude picture of myself and put it on.
Oh, come on.
It's not going to happen. And if I get to a place where like I'm dating a celebrity and that does happen, I will be so much happier by dating a celebrity that I'm willing to take the risk that my nude butt will be shown on the internet at some point down the line. It will have been worth it because I will have been dating like a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model. Oh no, my life is so horrible. You can see my butt on the internet. I would take a picture.
You're gonna be like, yeah.
The entrance fee,
Yeah, it was my butt.
If the entrance fee was you have to take a picture of your butt and put it on the internet to pick,
With Kate Upton,
to
you'd be
pick
okay
one
with
to
that.
10 Sports Illustrated swimsuit model. Done. I would do that right now.
But your
Skip
kickball
work.
team is going to make fun of you in the locker room.
Who cares?
I somehow doubt that,
Who
actually.
ca-
I know, you were saying they'd like harass him. I think they'd be like,
They're probably high-fiving
way to go, man.
him.
I will have
dudes are terrible.
I will have some Kate Upton clone come to the game and cheer for me, and all the other people on the team will be crying. And then I will go home with that person. Bye, everyone. How's that picture of my butt doing? Good? I bet you it's doing great.
Unless anyone else has anything else pressing, I think this was just this came up in my feed right after all the links about the whole Cloudgate or whatever we're going to call it.
I remember this. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
and
yes.
I thought this was just relevant.
I try
Basically,
to watch him on Louis C.K. on almost all my. Anytime I see him appearing on like a late
Oh,
night show,
man.
I try to catch
So
him.
good.
He's so funny.
and the show is brilliant. I don't know. You guys watched Louis, right?
Yeah.
Ah.
So I was very anti-Louis.
Oh,
for a
man.
while, and then I think I actually thought this past season was his strongest
Oh,
season.
man. Well, he just got an Emmy, I think, for that episode
So-
with
Wait,
that
how are you
amazing speech.
Anti-Louis.
So
Let's talk about that.
How can you be
You want me to give
anti-Louis?
you want me to give you my
I have to
unpopular
stop
opinion
screen
alert?
sharing to discuss
I'll
here.
give you my unpopular opinion alert on the Louis TV show.
Oh, not him.
No, Louis C.K. is very funny. I think he's great. He's a tried and true comedian. He's made it. He's been around for 20 plus years. My issue with the FX Louis show for a long time was that Louis C.K. is an incredibly funny person, and he refused to put funny things into his episodes.
I disagree with that.
There was not enough humor built into them. I think he took a lot of flack for that for a long time, and then this past season, he did two things which he was fighting against for a long time. He had continuing story arcs that ran longer than one episode.
Like 4 episodes
and
long, yeah.
he force fit in a lot more funny into those episodes in the way a traditional sitcom did. So you can all go back and watch like season 2 again.
No, I
and,
can
like,
hear that.
Respect it for like his artistic integrity, and you didn't know that this comedian had that depth for filmmaking or writing or whatever. My expectation of Louis C.K. is I'm gonna laugh, and if I watched a whole 30-minute episode and didn't laugh once, I'm left feeling like, what the F was that?
I feel like I was always amused. Like I find humor in every episode, but it's not laugh out loud, joke setup, punchline laugh. It's like human condition, like depths of wow, that's really funny in a crazy aren't people nuts kind of way.
And that's my unpopular opinion thing, because I think a lot of the comedies that are super popular right now, like the Big Bangs of the world, and like I got out of How I Met Your Mother. I don't watch the Ashton Kutcher and John Cryer one that I'm blanking on.
Like the old school sitcom stuff.
I don't watch those
with a studio
because
audience,
because at a certain point you like evolve past that and you're thinking, and I don't think there's a lot of funny comedy on TV. And then like Louis C.K., like a bright shining light in stand-up, was going to come out with really funny stuff, and his stuff wasn't always funny, and that really disappointed me. So I really didn't watch consistently. It was kind of the same thing, like, we all know how much of like a blaze of glory Dave Chappelle was on television, because he was like one of the funniest things ever, and everyone was talking about it and everyone was watching it. And I just think there's like a huge hole in comedy that I was kind of expecting his show at least in 3 or 4 minutes every 30-minute episode to do, and there were some episodes where there was none of that.
See, what I like about it, though, is that it's not that it does, like, throw off what you would expect. But I get, well, that's probably challenging for mass audiences, too. Like, I don't know that it's ever going to get, like, he's never going to get the Big Bang audience to watch.
And I have had
too
this
much
fight.
work.
That's okay.
I have had this fight with multiple people. Like, it's not that good. It wasn't that funny earlier on. Like, it kind of just, like, was all over the place, and, like, that was not good enough for me. Like, he's too talented to have 6 episodes in a row that were all over the place. I feel like this past season was like, I was very surprised by how good this past season was. Yeah. I didn't think he had it in him. I thought he just wanted to do little 30-minute art films and go to Miami and make weird episodes about weird stuff that didn't really connect with anyone except for him. He knew all the inside jokes, and he was making the show for him, and he said that before.
Yeah.
And this past season, he didn't do that. And it was like, it was 10 steps above.
But I would say without compromising the depth. Like, there was even more depth this season.
And I had always had the confidence that he could have done both, and for some reason he was fighting it, and he didn't anymore. Let's go back to the story. Yeah. Sorry.
No, that's okay. So this is just a light little thing. This is just seems relevant. And I got to find the screen share button again.
I like that AARP ad on the side, too.
That's nice.
Looks like
probably served up because I have gone to AARP things since we have worked with them. Anyway, so basically, of course, the Huffington Post says, Louis C.K. was right about the cloud all along. But basically, it's an appearance from, I think it's Jimmy Kimmel, right? From a couple years ago. He just talks about the cloud in a humorous fashion, but it is pretty entertaining in light of all this.
Play it.
Right. So I would not imagine you being so tech savvy. Are you into technology? Some of it is too much. Like I don't have an iPhone. I had an iPhone. It's just so absorbing. It's just like having a pencil that I just want to write something down. I don't want a whole panoramic experience. I think that people are a little naive about what they're giving away. It's like people are so excited to have geotags. There's a company that always knows where you are. Like, you nuts. And they're building the cloud. They want you to go to the cloud. And they're selling it as a great idea. You don't need your stuff. Just give it to us. We'll keep it on the cloud. Why? You don't have to. Those are my pictures. And we'll keep it on the cloud. We pay a little rent to have it up on the cloud. And the way they're going to talk you into this is that you get to have a smaller device because you don't need to keep the stuff on it. That's why. Okay, like this. Somebody gave this iPhone. This is what an iPhone is right now. Okay. Now it's gonna when they tell you you want to keep it on the cloud, they're gonna say this is the iPhone now. The next iPhone is just gonna be this.
OLED.
Because you need this to store all your movies and stuff. But you're just gonna have this, and you just run and go, ooh, I want to see Tom Cruise. All around your face, and then you want to see Selma Hayek, and then you take it and you.
Oh, jeez. So wrong.
It's so truthful. Again, that's like the risk reward of having he articulates that better than we ever could. And like, well, you're gonna take all my stuff and you are gonna give this to someone else that you've never seen their face, never looked them in the eye, never talked to them, and then hope that it's secure.
Well, and the other scary thing we didn't even talk about is the whole thing in the last couple of months where basically the NSA was admitting that, like, they're looking at people's pictures and sharing them around the office.
No kidding.
Like, they probably already saw the J-Law photos, last, 6 months ago. That may be where they leaked from. I'm not saying that's a real claim. Don't call me up. But I mean, it's accessible to someone with the right tools.
Yes. There have been many times where I've actively thought about, like, what have I Google searched with what words, and would those ever get me in trouble? Like, I've like tried to find songs, like specific songs by artists, and then I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna end up on like an illegal download site that's gonna be tracked, and I'm gonna get like some letter under my thing, and I'm gonna be summoned to court because I wanted to listen to like Nicki Minaj, Anaconda. No, like like because you never know, and like you have to think about like that is the reality of like what is going on in today's like society. So
what about that incognito thing? Does
Incognito
that actually, or they're still tracking you?
It's still logged on the other end somewhere. Basically, it's just not tracking it in your browser. So, like, someone picks up your browser, it's not going to see it, and you're not going to get cookied.
And everyone,
but like the sites, I think the site log of where your internet pulled stuff from, I think, is still accessible somewhere.
I don't know what the legal rules around any of this are. I don't know what, but like Time Warner and Comcast and any of the internet providers that I'm blanking on that do internet providing know everything.
Internet provider.
But are they keeping that data? Like, how could they possibly store that much data?
They're using the cloud.
Well, I think largely that's the only reason
right?
that we don't all get prosecuted is that there's just too much. There's too much data for any human or computer to even pay attention to and sort through.
I think they're
our photos.
I definitely think
may not be hacked. We're not famous.
Right.
You know, I feel like you're gonna only get.
They're not gonna seek out our thing and try and crack it.
Doing something like high volume.
We should see if we could get. We should see if we can.
Come crack my code.
We should see if we can set up like a Magnet Media. This is something like Jimmy Kimmel would do. We should try to see if we can set up like a Magnet Media, iCloud like photo thing, and we just take like a lot of like not nude photos, but like racy weird photos of like opening up a suitcase with a lot of money in it, and like other weird things, and just like see if we can like
just try and tempt someone to hack our account.
If we can get something
attract somebody.
I'm not sure I'm going to support this.
I think it would be a really funny idea.
It's a test.
But it is an interesting idea.
But who would want to hack? All right.
That's my question: is that will we go to all this great effort and then crickets?
I shouldn't have said that.
The tens of people that hear this and see it.
Something more leading, like, hey, that.
Hey, 4chan, come and get me.
All those football bets that we've been doing around the office are really making Magnet Media a lot of money. And then like, we go on to some other story, and then like we start posting those photos just to see if we can like get any spikes in like any hackability or like legal what have yous. I've always wanted to test that.
Because we want to be hackable.
I don't know. Maybe that'd be cool.
Just to feel popular and loved.
We know how to get hacked.
They cared enough to hack us.
We know how to get
That's like the new clout. Did you get hacked?
Right? Did you get hacked?
We know how to prevent you from getting it, which is good. Just be careful about the cloud, man. And I don't feel bad about looking at the nudes of those chicks.
Okay. I think we're going to wrap this in exactly 60 minutes. Like, this broadcast thing, it's magical. It's turning us into
good. We still had no
broadcasters.
We still had no hangouts.
We had no hangouts. We have apparently at this moment 2 viewers.
Oh, all right.
So thank you and hello to you 2 viewers, probably in our office.
But they're not questioning.
They haven't chimed in. No one's chimed in. Last chance.
Gotta start somewhere though.
Going once, going twice.
But again, this will be available the minute we finish, basically, on our YouTube channel and our Google Plus channel, and then the audio will be all nicely edited and packaged up on tomorrow or Friday.
Everyone will eat the microphones and keep
there's so many ways to engage.
Ryan,
such as on magnetmediafilms.com/blog,
let's go from news directly to the reads.
YouTube.com/magnetmediafilms, and Facebook and Twitter at Magnet Media Inc. And then all of our individual accounts that we hope you'll try and hack so we feel special. I'm at Ryan Swearingen. Please don't hack me.
Yeah, over triple digits on Twitter now.
Follow hey. We know that Shannon is not on Facebook, but she's shenanigans at Twitter, RJ Coops at Twitter, and Emily_A_Wilson.
I think I'm Ridge Cubes on Instagram, which I feel like is a little bit of a better follow. RIDGE.
The only thing you're making complicated now is that if you share something through or someone tries to tag you, it's not going to link it over with Twitter.
You know what?
Switches though.
That is true.
I have seen that.
It is confusing. But the weird thing is that I know we talked about Tinder before. I don't really get on Tinder if you're searching for people. A lot of people include their Instagram handle just as like a backup for your Tinder profile.
If you just want to check out my public photo feed.
Like, huh?
Maybe
I don't know enough about Tinder.
Maybe they're proud of their Instagram and they want to like show off their life.
I don't know. I just feel like it's really weird. We can talk about Tinder another day.
We're at 10:29.
Tinder
I'm so excited to wrap this exactly at 10:30, and we started exactly.
That's great.
At
I think this is a really good. I think there's a lot of really good, robust news.
So many things.
We hope all of you guys had a great Labor Day.
We really do.
There's technically 2.5 more weeks of summer, according to the Farmer's Almanac. Right. So don't freak out. Enjoy the heat while we have it and the sunshine.
For sure.
Because it's going to get
Yesterday
cold.
was the hottest day of the year.
Oh,
right?
It was oppressive.
Or was supposed to be. I don't know if it finally hit it.
It was awful. It was.
I heard it was 92, right?
95 in Newark.
And I'm sure it was much hotter in other places.
In the subway, it was
Texas.
The low ground.
I will be going to the U.S. Open tonight for anyone who's heading to the U.S. Open.
What's
Serena Williams and Andy Murray is playing Novak Djokovic, which could be a 5-set epic until.
Wait, you get to see both?
Yes. which could be an epic late into the night, which is the only reason I'm going.
That's awesome.
So if
All right,
anyone's
another
at the US
2:30
Open,
a.m. or whatever like the other night.
if anyone's at the U.S. Open, hit me up. I will be there.
Cool.
Hit him up, RJ.
Having some drinks.
Hack
Rich
his Instagram.
Coops. What was the other one?
Hack my Instagram, and we can talk about cloud storage and privacy.
For sure.
Bye.
That is all. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.